It began with a rumor that spread through Los Angeles like wildfire. The kind of rumor that makes people lean in with wide eyes and a whisper in their voice. A dusty storage room beneath the old Orpheum Theater had been opened for the first time in 20 years, revealing boxers stacked to the ceiling, each one filled with forgotten tapes from talent shows long gone. But one box, unlike the rest, carried a handwritten label that sparked a frenzy. Auditions, unknown names, possible early stars. People couldn't stop asking the same question. Could the world's most beloved celebrities have once stood on a tiny wooden stage, trembling under cheap lights, hoping for a single chance? Lena Ruiz, a young archivist with a quiet spirit and a deep love for stories hidden in time, was the first to touch those tapes. She'd always believed in the magic of beginnings, the fragile moments before greatness arrives, and as she wiped the dust from the box, she felt something stir within her, as if fate itself had placed these tapes in her hands. The first tape she played flickered to life with grainy lines and a shaky camera. A teenage boy stood on a stage too big for him, his hands trembling as he adjusted the microphone. The judges barely looked up, clearly exhausted from a long day of auditions. But then the boy's voice filled the room, soft, uncertain, yet brimming with a raw purity that made Lena sit forward. It wasn't just good. It was unmistakable. It sounded like the early voice of a star the entire world now adored. She couldn't believe it. Could this be real? As she watched, she noticed something else. Halfway through the song, the boy's voice cracked. He froze, embarrassed, tears gathering in his eyes. The audience laughed lightly, the sort of laugh that can crush a young dream. But then something unexpected happened. The stagehand walked out quietly and whispered something to him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. The boy nodded, wiped his tears, gathered courage, and finished the song with a trembling strength that made the room fall silent. It wasn't just a performance. It was a moment of humanity lifting someone when they needed it most. Lena felt her own eyes sting. She moved to the next tape, expecting another curiosity. But what she found pulled her even deeper. A young woman stood center stage holding cards with jokes written on them. Her nervous laughter made the audience fidget, unsure whether to laugh with her or pity her. Her first 3 jokes fell flat. People coughed, shifted in their seats. A few even groaned. But with every failed punchline, she tried harder, forcing herself to smile. Finally, after a painfully quiet moment, her hands shook so violently that the cards slipped and scattered across the stage. The judges sighed. The audience groaned again. Then, just when she looked ready to run away, a small voice from the front row shouted, "You can do it." A child's voice, cheerful, innocent, and oddly brave. The woman looked down, found the little girl smiling at her with absolute belief, and burst into a genuine, unfiltered laugh. That laugh, confident, bold, sunny, rolled through the theater. The audience warmed. She told a joke without using her cards, a joke about losing her jokes. This time the room erupted with laughter. It was effortless, natural, and brilliant. Lena's breath caught. The girl on stage now had the timing of a comedic icon, and the girl cheering her on. That simple act of kindness had changed the entire trajectory of the performance. The third tape began with music, but no performer in sight. The camera tilted, searching, and then the dancer appeared from the side, barefoot, moving as if the whole world existed only within her. Her choreography wasn't polished, yet every movement carried a feeling so deep it made the air in the room seem heavier. Behind her, the stage lights flickered oddly, a malfunction, Lena thought, until she noticed the dancer glancing back between steps, anxiety hiding behind her grace. Then Lena understood. The dancer wasn't performing for the judges. She was performing for someone backstage. And suddenly, a man appeared in the corner of the frame, older, frail, holding a walker. He watched her with eyes full of pride, nodding at her every transition. She danced harder when he nodded, softer when he inhaled sharply. Halfway through her performance, the man's legs buckled. It nearly fell. The dancer rushed to him, abandoning the routine, helping him sit and holding his hands, as tears streamed down her face. The judges waited silently. No one complained. No one demanded she'll continue. The man whispered something. She kissed his forehead. Then she returned to the center of the stage and finished the dance with such overwhelming emotion that the camera trembled in the operator's hands. Lena knew instantly. This wasn't just dance. This was love given form. But it was the fourth tape that changed everything. "I don't think I belong here," the person whispered. "People like me don't make it. I want to try. Just once." The camera cleared enough to show a silhouette standing under weak stage lights. Lena couldn't make out their face, only their posture. Small, uncertain, vulnerable. And then another voice entered the frame. Calm and warm, perhaps a producer or a mentor. "You don't have to belong," the voice said. "Just be brave for 30 seconds. The performer nodded, stepping fully into view. Lena's heart pounded. The face was still too blurry to confirm. But the energy, the vulnerability, it felt unmistakable. They began to sing. Not a polished voice, not the powerful tone the world later came to recognize. Just a voice overflowing with sincerity, fragile and trembling. The kind of voice that could break and heal someone at the same time. These weren't just auditions. These were beginnings soaked in humanity. Moments where kindness shaped destiny. Moments where someone in the shadows made a choice to lift another person up. By the time the fourth tape ended, Lena's hands were shaking. She understood what these tapes meant, not just for fans, not just for Hollywood, but for anyone who had ever been small, afraid, and uncertain. These weren't stories of fame. They were stories of courage, supported by compassion. But she also knew the world would ask the same question she had asked from the beginning. Were these really the celebrities everyone adored now? Had the biggest stars on earth once stood in these forgotten rooms, trembling, flawed, hopeful? But Lena realized something as she rewound the tapes. Her heart full. The real magic wasn't in proving whether the performers were the icons the world worshipped today. The magic was in seeing how ordinary people became extraordinary, not through perfection, but through moments of kindness, encouragement, and compassion that shaped their paths. The stagehand, who comforted the shy singer, the child who believed in the struggling comedian, the dancer lifting her father before lifting the hearts of the audience, the crew humming to support a trembling voice. These people, these small, quiet heroes, changed more lives than they ever knew. And those performers, whether they became celebrities or simply carried the courage forward into their everyday lives, had experienced a truth the world often forgets. Greatness is never born alone. Lena stood in the dim room surrounded by tapes, the glow of the monitor reflecting in her teary eyes. She didn't know what the world would make of these stories. She didn't know if people would argue, speculate, or demand proof. But she knew one thing with certainty. These tapes carried something far more valuable than celebrity secrets. They carried hope. The hope that anyone, anywhere, could rise from trembling beginnings. The hope that kindness at the right moment could shape the future in ways no one imagined. The hope that behind every famous face was once a person who doubted themselves, stumbled, and needed someone to believe in them. Lena placed the tapes back gently, her heart full. As she walked out of the storage room, she whispered to herself, maybe the world doesn't need to know who they were. Maybe the world just needs to remember we all start somewhere. And for the first time in years, the old Orpheum Theater felt alive again, as though the walls themselves were whispering the stories they had guarded for decades. Stories of courage, stories of kindness. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life, or even the world, is one person whispering, "You can do it."